Well, the wreaths are here, box after box after box. And the participants of today's ceremony, they're arriving as well. But I got to tell you, yesterday morning at this time, the ceremony scheduled for this cemetery looked problematical after the first big snowstorm of the season. But then the volunteers went to work. At first, it seemed an almost impossible task, but snowplows pushed snow, snowblowers cleared paths through the wet, heavy snow, and shovels in the hands of volunteers cleared the snow from almost completely buried grave markers, so that the ceremony of the laying of the wreaths would go ahead as planned. Last year at this cemetery, it was so cold, the temperature was actually 0 degrees Fahrenheit, that some people got uncomfortably cold. So this year, they've erected a little tent. The ceremonies are going to take place in there, and then everybody's going to spread out and do the laying of the wreaths. And come noon on Saturday, December 13th, the 4th annual Wreaths Across America ceremony went on as scheduled at the Old Post Cemetery. It was just one of almost 600 cemeteries throughout the United States and beyond to be included in the annual event, which is sponsored by a nonprofit organization out of the state of Maine. They hope that by laying wreaths at this time of year, the brave who fell in defense of our freedoms will not be forgotten during the holidays. George King of the North Country Honor Flights paid tribute to the deceased veterans, as well as those who fight for us every day and come home sometimes to a less than grateful nation.
The people who swore an oath to defend this nation, they stand there deployment after deployment and fight on. They've lost relationships, spent years of their lives in extreme conditions, years apart from kids that they'll never get back, and beaten their body in a way that even professional athletes don't understand. Then the veteran comes home to a nation that does not understand. They don't understand suffering. They don't understand sacrifice. They don't understand why we fight for them. They don't understand that bad people exist. They look at him like he's a machine, like something is wrong with him. The veterans are the misguided ones, not them. When they get out, they sit in the college classrooms with political science professors that discount their opinions on Iraq and Afghanistan because they were there. They can't possibly understand the macro issues because of their bias. They watch TV shows where every veteran has PTSD, and the violence strain at that. Their Congress is debating their benefits, their retirement, and their pay, while asking them to do more and more. But the amazing thing about them is they all know this. They know their country will never pay back what they've given up. They know that the populace at large will never truly understand or appreciate what they have done for them. Hell, they know that in some circles they'll be thought there's less than normal for having worn the uniform, but they do it anyway. They do what the greatest men and women of this country have done since 1775. They served.
So on this frozen, snow-covered ground, it is left to these people because they care to remember with a wreath and a prayer for all veterans and their devotion. If not a face or a smile or a long silenced voice crying out one last time, the voice of somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's lover, somebody's brother, somebody's friend, who will never go home again, except in our devotions, if we choose to care.
Winston Churchill said in the Second World War, never in the field of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to so few. That applies today. In closing, remember, we sleep safe in our beds at night because rough men are ready to visit violence on those who seek to do us harm.
Someone once said that to be killed in war is not the worst thing, or to be lost is not the worst thing. but to be forgotten is the worst thing. And today at this little cemetery in Plattsburgh, New York, several dozen volunteers made certain that all the veterans, known and unknown, who rest here will never be forgotten. At the Old Post Cemetery in Plattsburgh, New York, I'm Derek Muirden for Mountain Lake Journal.